meeting their needs. And, Oakland lost the Raiders. Oakland lost Golden State. And I'm not against Oakland, but I'm telling you, they have to get it together. I even have a hypothesis. Like in Kansas City, we lost the A's when Charlie Finley took them to Oakland, and they gave us an expansion team. I could even see, now this is only me speaking now, I could see Oakland moving because they're not going to wait 5-10 more years. Oakland, if they ever did get their stadium, would be awarded the expansion team.
Right.
But it works both ways. And I put my time in this as a sport business consultant. People don't realize I'm not just a fan of baseball and let's go. This is a business we're talking about.
Right.
This is $2 billion project, $1 billion for the stadium and the ownership and all the area around here and the infrastructure development. You talk about jobs. You talk about the economy. Oregon was a logging community. We turned to a log-in community, and I don't mean another pun if I may, but we really need to help the timber industry while we're having fun with baseball.
Absolutely. So now let's talk about the ballpark.
Okay.
So you mentioned Vaughn Street. Okay. We all know about Vaughn Street Ballpark from yesteryear. Gorgeous ballpark. It worked. The Portland Beavers played there, and I mean, it was packed.
Right.
So now, how big of a stadium are we talking about? You said not large, so I'm assuming, 35, 40,000 maybe?
Remember, I'm a fan on that subject because I wouldn't be the owner and the architects would decide.
Right.
But small seems to be better. They're finding out. I think Oakland's proposed new stadium, even though they don't have a site, their new stadium is around 32,000. And why build a 45,000 stadium for a footprint that's too tight? And also, you don't sell out them again. Look, the Timbers have a good problem to have. They're adding 4,000 seats. So I'm in that 30,000 range. I'd like to have the smallest park in Major League Baseball. Remember, baseball needs the venue. They can't afford. I always say about Oakland, you can go use the restroom, but you really can't flush. They've had so many problems over the years. It's embarrassing. And baseball's too good for those kinds of stadiums. They're done, the cookie-cutter stadiums. What we're doing with the proposal of a CLT, all-wood, mass-wood stadium is we're doing what they did with Camden Yards. It started a revolution of new stadiums. And we would be in Portland because if you go back to the tourists and globalism, and remember the beneficiary of this stadium is all the Oregon timber industry wins every day there's a game on because it's selling their product to the world through baseball, and they don't get many platforms like that.
And what a great product. I mean, it's perfect.
Yeah. It's renewable, less carbon, cheaper to build, and I think we struck gold, if I may. I really do.
I think you're on to something. And man, this is pretty exciting. So where can somebody go to find? You have a website?
We do. MLB2PDX.com. MLBTOPDX.com. We'd like people to sign up. We've gone slowly with this, but we're starting to get some traction there. And we'll have some new information going out and bumper stickers. And we have a flyer that I'll let you have that. But we're trying to promote slowly. But now we're getting more excited about that. And the reason I call it MLB to PDX, you really can't say MLB.
Right.
And you really can't say, so I have Must Love Baseball as the technical term, the legal term for the website.
Okay.
So that baseball can't come to us as they have in the past. You can't use that name. So I'm hoping MLB to PDX. And I'd love to go be put in jail for a while. It'd be newsworthy. Trying to bring Major League Baseball.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I really like the Vaughn Street part of it. I mean, you're down in the neighborhood where we're at today. And, I mean, this place down here is thriving. I used to work at Aramark years ago, back in the early 90s when all this was ran down. And I'm amazed every time I come down here and see the buildings and just, I mean, it's beautiful down here. They've really done a good job.
Well, I live down in the Pearl, so I walk in. I went to McMenamin's Tavern, a Pool Tavern. They really have a lot of history in there. And you know what's interesting about Vaughn Street, the first great baseball player that most people in Portland don't realize is named Joe Tinker. Joe went on the Cubs and the Hall of Famer, and the old poem, Tinker Evers Chance, the double play poem. Well, Joe, this is just my emotions that keep me passionate. Joe Tinker's from Atchison, Kansas, and I'm a farm boy, even though I lived in Kansas City. So we had a farm in Holiday, Kansas, and we had one in Halls, Missouri. I've been to Atchison 100 times a summer, going through driving a tractor, and I had no idea who Joe Tinker was. But it's just kind of a weird, surreal feeling that the first Hall of Famer, and Ted Williams has been at that ballpark and others. The history is, it's almost like unearthing something and bringing, it really is a Back to Future, Field of Dreams type of story, if I may, particularly going back to this. And the CLT Stadium or Oregon CLT, whatever you want to call it, the timber industry would salivate over the opportunity for people every day to talk about the all-wood stadium. Just the name wood brings back commerce. People are being educated; they didn't know what it was. So,
absolutely, and when the article Portland Tribune first came out, and I heard from a few friends, all wood, and they're not thinking about the CLT.
Right.
I'd already talked to you, but I also had seen the CLT part on the news earlier in that week, and so I was kind of a little bit informed of what's going on. It makes sense, it makes sense for Portland. It makes, we got the motto, keep Portland weird. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, this is it.
Well, and I take my hat off to Kerry Eggers has watched me. If you go back 20 years and trying to save a Civic Stadium for the Expos, we failed. Then the school district side, a lot of people wanted the post office side. I checked with Al Soheim and others that are landlords down there that developed the Pearl. That just, it's not going to work there. It just for what culturally and politically, and that's fine. And so we focused on school. I still love the school district side because you need two sides. It's just that when they said you need another side, and the ESCO's coming up for rezoning the headquarters and the Swigert family, I've not talked to them. I don't ever want to present myself as making this happen. What I'm finding, though, is putting the pieces together, the conversation, the points, the timber, the state, the government, the city office. You put all those people together, and then people get 20,000 people at our website for mailing list. We're going to be in a situation politically that we can drive this from the ground up. And that's what excites me. And that's what I take a lot of pride in. I've never given up. My wife's never given up on this crazy idea. And it's less crazy today than it was 20 years ago.
Oh, absolutely. And I will agree with you on that. And, I'm stoked for the idea of Major League Baseball coming to Portland. Like I said, is it time? I don't know. But
it is time.
Down the road.
If you're against it, I'm going to call you a termite. That's what I just
there you go.
And it fires me up. And I know the thing that fires me up most is you can't burn it.
Right.
And I hate to say that, but that's unbelievable what CLT technology
It's crazy,
done.
And when you look at this, it's.
And I'm listening to Valerie Johnson's in my office yesterday, and we're going to meet up next week again with the architect. But to be honest with you, her story of in a room and new technology, it's been done in other places. Not like we're reinventing the wheel, but it had to be approved. And when you can do 14 stories, fireproof, earthquake-proof, we can do a stadium. Absolutely. And I want a stadium simple. I want it wood. I want it to smell the wood. The dugouts are wood. The bats are wood. But I want it something that you can't. It just brings you back. And I think bringing you back takes you forward.
Absolutely. So now, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay.
Who is Dr. Lynn Lashbrook?
Just a guy. I grew up in Kansas City, played football and baseball. Got 13 foul balls the old Kansas City A's game. I have them in my office. And after high school, nobody wanted me, so I went to Fort Hays State, which would be like a Western Oregon in LeGrand.
Yeah.
And I was 4 years there. I named my son Brett after George Brett. After I got my master's at Springfield College, the birthplace of basketball, doctorate at Northern Colorado, and got back to Fort Hays teaching and coaching, and following my Royals from out there in Hays, Kansas. Tenured professor. I left to go to Missouri for 5 years, and assistant AD. We had a lot of success there. Then I became an AD at Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville for 3 years. And then I went to Alaska Fairbanks for 5 years. That's 20 years. Needed to get back to the States to watch my son, Brett, play high school ball. And I turned down the Western Michigan job. And I went to Jim Steiner, who represented Jerry Rice and Ryan Sandberg and Brian Jordan and others. And I said, I want to be an agent. He wasn't excited, but I said, give me some business cards. Because I knew all the people at the college athletic programs, I had connections. And I got 4 players the first year. My favorite stories, I got Ralph Dawkins, who's a free agent out of Louisville. But he had a younger brother from Clemson named Brian Dawkins 2 years later. So 3 years in, I had 20 players in the NFL. I moved over. I went to divorce, came out to Portland. My dad had died on a dance floor in Portland, Oregon, 1973 at midnight, right up here somewhere. We don't know where the dance floor is. We know it's Good Samaritan and Hennessy Funeral. But I was always motivated by that. And John Vosmik, who was my architect up in Alaska, was trying to save Civic Stadium by lowering the concourse. And if you look back at the archives, they're ready to take Civic Stadium down and make condos there. There was no vision there. They had meetings. There was no vision. So we stirred it up. They said AAA. I said, why not Major League? And I stayed on. I took a lot of hits. no pun intended. But I had a company after the Jerry Maguire movie. I started how to be an agent on a website, and my accountant one day said, "Add more courses because they're selling." So we added more courses. Now we have 25 courses from cricket, rugby, football, analytics, everything. And I've just grown that company, but this has been my hobby. I gave up golf for baseball, to be honest with you. And so who am I? I'm a businessman. I'm an educator. I still teach at Warner Pacific. We have courses all over the world, 140 different countries. And I watch my Royals every day on my phone or on TV. So I'm driven by what baseball can do for community. I'm driven by a business that is growing. And my wife and I are partners. And I work hard, but I also have fun. And I've never not enjoyed since I played catch with my dad at 5 years old. I've always been in sports.
So my story is, I worked in minor league baseball, 2 different organizations, Giants and Diamondbacks. I was a clubhouse manager, done security, I've done scouting, and baseball for me is life. I live baseball, and there are so many life lessons learned in baseball, and I think bringing Major League Baseball to all these kids around here, not only kids but the adults and stuff like that, is going to be huge.
And I will say this: the idea, what it captured, it's not about foul balls. It's just the idea. We go to the soccer game, we leave the game, we go to dinner, we go have whatever. It's just an exciting. And this town is so much fun to walk and travel through. But baseball, I always say sports are a substitute for war. They're synonymous to peace. Baseball is good for quality of life. And even though we're starting late with Major League Baseball, I think the history, if we grab that history and make it unique, I think we can be a top franchise in the country, because I think people come out of the woodwork. I say it again, I can't help it. But I think there's a lot more fans here that don't know where to go or how to ask. How do we get baseball?
Portland is a baseball city, and I will say that, to the end. It is. I've seen it, and we had the AAA All-Star game here a few years back. Yeah, and it was amazing.
But Major League is a level that
it is. It's a different level, and if you keep it affordable and family friendly, which Major League Baseball is.
Speaking of affordable, when I was a kid, it was 50 cents to get in and 75-cent Ballpark Express. You take the bottles back and you get the money, and then you use a dime to call your mom to say you're at the game. I went to 30 games this summer.
Wow.
So obviously it's in my veins, and it's meant to be. And what I'm most excited about the last 2 weeks of this conversation, we're broadening the base to the point that I think it's really got traction. I really believe if people would really support us, whoever tells their friends, sign up at MLB2PDX.com. Give us enough grassroots so we can use you politically to grow that there's interest here. I just don't think it's going to come from our political leaders, but I do think it can come from the people.
Come from us. Yeah. So PDX to MLB.com is
MLB2PDX.
MLB.
You are dyslexic. You just proved it. That's right.
That's wrong. All right. So MLB2PDX.
That's my fault on that. I didn't see that. Okay.
Hey, check it out, and let's bring it.
And thanks for inviting me. I always appreciate it. And
anytime.
It's nice to finally talk to you.
We would love to do this again, and love to keep in touch with you on how are things going. And like I said, I think it's important that we bring Major League Baseball
to
the city.
You guys have a great day.
Once
Good luck
again,
with your show.
Dr. Lynn Lashbrook. So we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to bring on Mr. Joe Piazza, and we're going to talk a little. We're going to crunch some numbers.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Woo-hoo.